Hello, and welcome to another episode of the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And I have an incredible guest here with me today, and I'm excited to dive into our conversation. So please join me in welcoming Annie Margarita Yang. Hi, Annie. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining me.
Heidi, thanks for having me on the S.H.E podcast.
Absolutely. So before we dive in, Annie, I want to give everybody a little background about you, and then we're going to jump into the conversation. So Annie Margarita Yang is the definitive voice in millennial finance, specializing in strategies for beating today's tough economic challenges. She's the author of an award-winning, best-selling new book, The 5-Day Job Search, which helps young professionals get out of student loan debt while finding the ideal job. With more than 1 million views on YouTube, Annie's witty approach to tough talk sets her apart from others. Her candid style cuts through the noise, delivering foolproof advice for real world challenges. So, Annie, I'm excited to learn more about what you do and helping people get out of student loan debt, because I know that is a crisis in our world today. I know it's something I went through for a while after I graduated. But first, before we dive in, you're also an entrepreneur. You built your business. So can you share with us, is this something that a challenge that you had when you graduated and you navigated through, or is this something that you just were truly passionate about, learned how to do, and now you help other people? Can you share your story with us?
Yeah, so actually, I did not borrow student loans like everybody else, but I'm definitely very passionate about this topic because when I was in high school, 16 years old, straight A student, all I've ever known is school because I came from a poor working class immigrant family. We didn't have a lot of extracurriculars growing up because we didn't have the money. And 16 years old, you ask me, what do you want to do with your life? I'm just kind of like, I don't know. And then all these adults are telling me to borrow $40,000 in student loan debt to discover myself and find that passion in college. And then I was like, but what if I don't find it there? Because there's a lot of people who don't find it there. And it doesn't seem like a good financial investment. It seems more like a gamble. My guidance counselor in particular, she made a whole project out of me. She met with me every week to tell me that I would be an absolute failure for the rest of my life if I decided to not go straight to college. Even if I decide to go a few years later, if I don't go straight to college after high. Wait, what? Did I get kicked out or was it you?
I know you got kicked out somehow. I don't know if your internet's having problems, because
It wasn't me.
I thought I was gonna get kicked out. I'm like, I didn't get kicked out, and my internet's showing strong right now, so I don't know what happened there. Um, but let's go back to me asking you the question and just start over, and then or just finish off where. Well, I'll tell you where I left off. You can either start over, or the last thing you said was your guidance counselor made a project out of you.
Right. So my guidance counselor in particular, she made a project out of me. She met with me once a week for an hour every single week to tell me that I would be an absolute failure for the rest of my life if I didn't go straight to college. And I was like, what if I don't go straight to college? What if I take 2 years off to figure out what I want to do? And then I go to college with a plan. And she was just like, no, if you don't go straight to college after high school, you will always be a failure for the rest of your life. And so I didn't go straight to college. I took 2 years off and then I went to college. But still, even then, when I had to go, I needed to get my transcript. I went into her office because I needed a signed transcript from her. Oh, Annie, now you decide to go to college, huh? And then I was like, yeah. And I managed to save up like 13 grand while working minimum wage. I thought that was a great thing. And then she was kind of just like, oh, minimum wage, 13 grand, that's nothing. And I'm just still so offended by her to this day. And so my book, The 5-Day Job Search, is basically a big middle finger to her.
It's so amazing what we can accomplish when we get fired up, right? When somebody kind of puts a challenge under us, and she didn't really challenge you, but you were like, no, I'm not on the same path as you. You're not resonating. And yeah, that's amazing. And you took action on what you truly believe was the right step for you. Creating $13,000, most kids would make the money and spend it. You were saving it, especially at such a young age. So what do you attribute to your financial responsibility at finding that at such a young age?
It was all from her, I swear, because I asked her so many times, how do I become financially successful? You're a guidance counselor. Shouldn't you be giving me guidance? Or like, how do I get a job? You should be guiding me on how to get a job, right? I thought that was the job of a guidance counselor. I didn't know that the job of a guidance counselor was to get you into college. Like that's their job description. I was really naive. And so because she wasn't guiding me, and then I was just kind of like, if she's telling me I can't make more than a minimum wage, I better be really good at managing the money I do make. And I just started looking whatever resources I could find. And then I found Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University.
Mm,
I was on the Pirate Bay, and then I ripped off a version of the Financial Peace University, and I watched all 9 CDs. And I was like, wow, there are people out there who graduate college, they make 6 figures, and they live paycheck to paycheck. It was like really eye opening to me. And I thought, okay, if Dave is saying that I can build wealth on any income, right? And it's possible. I'm just gonna follow what he says because I saw in the CD that he had like this big audience with like 1,000 people. I'm like, if 1,000 people are listening to this guy, he must know what he's talking about.
mm. Yeah, and it sounds to me like you saw the opening for anything is possible. No matter what level of income I'm at, I can create whatever I want to create, which is awesome. So when you went to college, so you took the 2 years, you worked, you created the 13,000 in savings, and then you went to college. Did you know what you wanted to do at that point?
Yes, I did know. So I realized because of Dave Ramsey, I was like, okay, I want to do what Dave Ramsey does. I want to help people with their finances and to stop living paycheck to paycheck. But there's no college degree in that. It's not a major, you know? Um, and there's no job that hires you to help people to stop living paycheck to paycheck. And even Dave Ramsey doesn't have a college degree in whatever this is that he's doing, you know? So I was kind of just like, well, what do I do? I mean, I have to grow an influence like Dave Ramsey. So I started learning public speaking at Toastmasters. That was one. And then I figure, okay, I can learn public speaking, which is the communication aspect, but then I can learn maybe more financial stuff in college. But then I was like falling asleep in my economics classes. I was like really bored in the classes, and I was just like, I don't think I can take any accounting classes or finance classes because it's just so boring. And for some reason, I have an interest in it, but I can't learn it
Right.
passionately in a college setting. So I figure, okay, if I have a passion for this, I'll just learn it outside of college. And then I decided to major in communications instead.
Okay. So you got the finance education from a different space, and you got the communication so you can speak and learn how to effectively communicate with people or even businesses in the college space. So what did you do? So you graduate college, you learned the finance piece, you got the communication piece, you took, I think it was a great thing that you went into Toastmasters, because that's a great place to learn how to speak. And especially at such a young age, I'm blown away by how young you were. But you knew you wanted to go headed in a certain direction. So what did you do when you graduated college? What were your next steps?
I graduated college and then I was just like, okay, time to get a job. And I moved to Lubbock, Texas. It's where Texas Tech University is, and it's not that big of a city. It's very small. There's only 8 banks there. I walked into all eight of those banks, and they weren't hiring. And 2 of them were hiring, but they didn't hire me. I got rejected right away. And so I was just like, okay, I cannot get any work in anything finance related here. Okay. So then I ended up working at Domino's Pizza instead. And I felt really rejected. I felt like I was just a total loser because here I am. I want to help people with their finances, but I'm working at Domino's Pizza.
Mhm.
I mean, it just I just felt like people would look down on me or something like that. But I still wanted to help people with their finances, so I still emailed the schools there, and I asked, is there any way I can teach like a financial program here? They said no, but then they also let me speak at one of their lunch breaks for the teachers. And I got two people who worked in the school who were interested in what I had to say and wanted to learn from me how to stop living paycheck to paycheck. So I helped them one on one instead. Yes.
That's amazing. I love how you had this passion. You found you took time, you took the space to find your passion, because it's true. Many people, especially back in my day, that was the path. You graduated high school, you went to college. And for me, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And then once I got to college, I realized I really didn't want to do that. So then I spun my wheels for years trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then when I came out of college, I'm not doing any of that now. Right. So I love that you took the time to do that. You were self-aware. I know the culture now in the world is that's not necessarily like that's not college is not the next right step for everybody. And we're more aware of that. But I know for me, you look so young, so it's probably not for you. But for me, back in my time, that was like that's the path. And I do think even today, the guidance counselors want you to go to college. They're like, that's because that's what they're, like you said, that's their job. So you were helping two people. Now let's fast forward to entrepreneurship. How did that evolve? How did you start your own business? And let's start there. How did you start your own business? And I'll ask you another question from there.
Yeah, so fast forward, I actually ended up moving to Boston. I got a job in accounting because of my interest in finances. Managed to get a job in accounting without an accounting degree. I learned everything that I could. Every day I spent like probably 1 hour learning about accounting. And I really wanted to help my boss build his business and had so many ideas, except I was getting bullied there. Like my coworkers really didn't like me. And I figure, okay, my ideas are not getting implemented. My coworkers don't like me. Then I'm just gonna find other people who are open to what I have to say. So I ended up building an accounting firm. So I got
Wow.
accounting clients instead. I actually still work at that job part time,
Okay.
and I still have these accounting clients. But then sometime last year, SVB, you know, the SVB banking crisis happened in March. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, all of my clients are in real estate, and my clients are going to go bankrupt and they're going to take me down with them. So at that point, I decided, you know what? If we're going to head into a recession, maybe even into a depression, and people are not going to have a job, or they're going to have a really difficult time landing a job, then the way I'll help people with their finances instead is through helping them learn how to get a job quickly. So that's
Mhm.
why I wrote the 5 Day Job Search, because you know, the goal here is like whatever way I can help people with their finances, I will do it. I don't care what way, what method. So I
Right.
just had to transition and say, okay, this is a new kind of person I'm going to help, and this is how I'm going to help them.
Yeah, which is powerful, what you just said, because the when it comes to entrepreneurship, we can start in one space, right? We can go, we're helping this person with this goal, overcome this problem, and then a year or two into it, it may think the world may pivot. The things may change. Also, what lights you up may change. Who you're working with may not light you up as what it, like it did before. So you saw something that was changing in the world, and you're like, okay, I get to make a decision on where I'm going moving forward. And you took a pivot, which for many entrepreneurs would be a scary thing. But you've been doing this your entire life, basically. You've been saying, no, this is where I want to go, and you're like, I would say break the chains of what everybody's telling you is the norm. And you're like, okay, this is where I feel right. And this is what I'm going for. And I think that's incredible. And what's going to, just bring you more and more success as you grow and evolve. So let's talk about your book. Tell us about the book, the 5 day, what is it called? The 5 day.
The 5 Day Job
Yeah,
Search.
I was gonna say 5 day work week. And I'm like, no, the work week is 5 days.
Actually, I got it from that. I got it from the 4 hour work week idea.
That's what kept coming in my head. And I'm like, that's not, I know what the title of the book is, but I'm like stuck with the 5 day work week. So tell us about the 5 day job search.
Yeah, so basically, it is about all the skills you need to learn to be able to land a job in 5 days. Now, the book initially, when I wrote it, was about all the things I had to learn to be able to become the kind of person where if I send in a job application, let's say I send in 100, the next day my phone's going to be ringing off the hook. Like, hey, we want to call you in for an interview, right?
Mm,
Like, how do you become that kind of person? And actually, initially, I said to become that kind of person, it took me like maybe 5 years if I really had guidance. It was really 10 years in the making. But if I had some guidance and someone to tell me, do it this way, I could have maybe done it in 3 to 5. But actually, after I started helping people, after I wrote the book, I started writing their resume and their LinkedIn. I actually discovered a lot of people know what they're doing. They're highly competent. They are experts at their craft. It's just they don't know how to package themselves. I
mhm,
was shocked. I was shocked at just when I would go into a resume writing session with somebody and they would tell me about all the different things they did at their job. And then I would start asking them for numbers. I'm like, well, how many meetings did you have every week? Or how many people did you manage? Right? Like numerical, because I'm an accountant. So everything to me is numbers.
mhm.
And if you put numbers in your resume, it makes you look like you're super accomplished, right? Um, and I was just, I'm blown away by how talented people really are. It's just that they don't know how to sell themselves and market themselves in a resume, in their LinkedIn profile, how to show up in a meeting, how to dress themselves. It's like everything about like how you carry yourself
Mhm.
helps you get the job. It's not just what you know. So basically, I'm able to turn people around in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's all about standing out. Just like I tell my clients when it comes to building a business online, how are you going to stand out? How are you going to grab the attention of the interviewer, right? Whoever's interviewing you, how are you going to stand out from the crowd of the other interviewees and grab their attention so they remember you after talking to 25, 30, 40 people, whatever it is. And especially if the resume is electronic nowadays, how are you going to stand out from the other resumes that they're getting? So I love that you help people with this. I think it's awesome. And I love that you said people don't know how to, they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to brand themselves.
Oh, yeah, they
You need
don't.
to create a brand around yourself, not only just for online, when you're on the online space, but also when you're in the corporate space, right? So I think that's a really cool thing. I've never heard that before, how it have heard it put that way. So I think that's incredible that, you realized it and now you're helping people package themselves to stand out. So what would you say for somebody that's looking for a job, whether they're, pivoting from entrepreneurship back into the corporate space, or they're coming out of school wanting to get a job in the corporate space, or just get a job in general? What would you say are like the first few tips that you could give them to help them on that path? One is buy your book for sure.
One is buy my book. But outside of the book, the things that I discovered after writing the book and actually helping people based on the book is because when I wrote the book, there was no ChatGPT. I,
Mm,
you know, ChatGPT came out after I wrote the book. So actually now I say use ChatGPT to analyze the job listing to really figure out what the employer is looking for. Because if you look at a job listing like word for word, you're kind of just like, I don't have this, I don't have that. But if you ask ChatGPT to analyze like 20 of them, and then you look for like the general themes, you start to see, oh, the employers are in general looking for like these five main things, not
mm.
one specific, but all of them, right? And then you write your resume also using ChatGPT based on the analysis as well. And then you also use ChatGPT to write the LinkedIn profile. And then I even found this way for people to get AI headshots. So they can basically take a selfie of themselves with their iPhone, upload about 10 of them to this website. It's called Dreamwave AI. And out comes this AI generated headshot of you dressed in like professional clothes, makeup, background, and everything. And that's something you can use for your LinkedIn for very cheap. I think it's only $50.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, it's very cheap because a photo shoot, a real one, you would pay over $300. And so just this alone has been pretty much enough to help somebody prepare for the job search. And then after that preparation is done, it's time to actually apply. I tell people to apply to 50 jobs a day.
Okay. So yeah, you've got to do the work. Once you've taken action on things, you've got to do the work and follow through. And I like that. I love that tip that you gave about what is it,
Dreamwave.
dreamwave.ai, because yes, like you said, a photo shoot is $300. And even if you had your friends take it or something on a cell phone, you still need to buy the outfits, right? So
Mhm.
those are not cheap either most of the time. So it's a great way to get it done quickly. Plus the turnaround is fast, and it's a very affordable way of doing that. I think that's an awesome tip. I didn't even know that existed. So now we talked about the job search in your book, and what, as far as finances go, since you love numbers and you love to help people with their finances, what would you say? There's a lot of people right now that are struggling. They're living paycheck to paycheck, or sometimes even less than paycheck to paycheck. What would you say would be some things that they could do to start working towards building wealth for themselves?
Well, if they don't already have a job, then they need to find a way to quickly earn that money. I remember when I was working at Domino's, it was one part-time job. It wasn't enough hours to pay my bills. I ended up having to work 5 part-time jobs.
Mm,
So if it's hard for somebody to get a full-time job, if they're currently unemployed, they'll have to work multiple part-time jobs and somehow make it work. Temp agencies, I walked into a temp agency and it was so easy to get work that way. Basically, if you're living and breathing and willing to work, they'll hire you. That's one option. If you already have work, you work full time, then I don't know, like with this kind of inflation, I don't see how anyone is getting by, you know? Like the inflation is so bad right now. I feel like you need a full-time job and a part-time job to go with it. My neighbor even asked me even just 2 weeks ago, Annie, I have a full-time job. I can't pay my bills suddenly because of the inflation. He asked me what to do, and I said the same thing. He needs a part-time job on top of what he already does.
yeah. So right now it's basically do what you need to do pay your bills.
Hmm.
And then when things start changing, which hopefully that will be coming soon, things will change, and hopefully the interest rates and things will go down, then you can maybe keep going a little longer and start putting money away and paying down some debt that you have.
Right.
So as far where can we find the book? If somebody's interested listening and they want to grab the book, where can they get it?
The best way is actually to head over to annieyangfinancial.com. And on the homepage at the top, there's a menu. It says audiobook. The audiobook is free. So you
Okay.
can download the 5-day job search audiobook that way, and you get on my mailing list, and that's how we can keep in touch.
Perfect. And I was just going to say, how can people reach out to you? How can we find you? I know you're on LinkedIn, so definitely LinkedIn.
Definitely LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, if you look for Annie Margarita Yang. And I also check my TikTok as well for messages. The TikTok is Annie Yang Financial.
Okay, perfect. And okay, so let's talk about that real quick, because we do cater to entrepreneurs building their business online. And I shared that you have over 1 million followers on YouTube. So can you share that journey, how you created that type of following on that platform?
Actually, it's 1 million views, not 1 million followers.
Okay. Still,
Still, yeah,
that's a lot.
that was like actually pure accident. It was the first video that I decided to make. I said, you know what? I want to help people with their finances. Um, Prior to that, I was just posting my Toastmaster speeches, so I record them and post. But then the first one where I actually was like, I'm gonna be deliberate. I'm gonna help people with their finances with finance videos, right? That one went viral out of nowhere. I don't know why people clicked on it. I don't know why it got so much traction. It just did.
Mm,
The comments on the video itself back then, it said that like, girl, I can relate to you, or like, oh my gosh, she gets me. Maybe it's that. I don't really know what it is that got people to click on it and keep watching and commenting.
yeah. Well, we get to keep doing more of that since it worked. One thing I always share is like figure out, like take inventory of what worked today, what didn't work today, or at the end of the week, do it what worked this week, what didn't work this week, and then keep doing what worked. That worked. So you get to keep doing whatever worked on that video. And then so that all your other ones. One of my clients just went by, well, hers went viral. She didn't have 1 million views, but she had within days 100, like over 100,000 views. And the great thing about that is that some of her other videos got a lot of additional views, because thousands of views because of that one. So once you get attention on one, people will start watching your other content and hopefully sign on to be a follower and subscribe. But make sure you go to grab the download of the book of Annie's book, and it's free. So definitely go grab it, especially if you're looking for a job out there in the space, and learn how to complete your job search in just 5 days. And I know you've had success doing that because you've shared that with me before. and reach out to Annie, connect with her on LinkedIn, ask her questions. She loves to connect. She will answer you. She's amazing. I met Annie at another event that we both were both participating in. And I just loved her energy, loved her vibe, love how honest, truthful, and open she is. She'll tell you the truth. She's no fluff, which I love too, direct, no fluff. And that's what you need to go get out there and create financial stability and get success in the job search. And if you have a job and you're not happy with it and you want to find something else, get with Annie. She can help you. She can brand you, package you in a beautiful bow, and help you stand out amongst everybody else out there. So, Annie, thank you so much for joining me today. Any other last thing you want to share with the audience, like quote you love or a tip you love?
Yeah, I just want to say anything that you want in your life, you can have, you can achieve, so long as you believe in yourself and you just go after it. I had somebody, a fan, reach out to me. She texted me. We've been in touch, and she got on a PIP. Her employer put on a PIP, which means they're gonna fire her in 30 days. You know,
Oh,
it's not actually to improve her performance; it's to fire her, but in a legitimate way. And then she reached out to me, and then I said, "Oh, it's time to get a new job." Right. And she was earning 87,000 and she's getting interviews for jobs that are paying 90 to $115,000. And I was just like, you rock it, you know?
nice. That's
Because
awesome.
she's going to earn more than this job where she's going to get fired from. It's amazing what
Yeah.
people can do.
Yeah. And that's a great, I love that you just touched in that because what I heard is something she has a choice. She can see it as something happening to her or for her. And yes, she might be getting fired, but that door needs to close so she can actually make more money because she probably wouldn't have left and did the search in order to get the more money. She just would have taken what she's getting now and kept on going down that road. And the universe, God, whatever you believe, is like, no, we have more for you. We need to shut
Exactly.
this door. And it may not make you feel good in the moment, but it's because we need you walking through a different door. So that I love that you shared that story. That was spectacular. And that's something we always need to be reminded of, especially for people. I just know the climate out there right now. Some people are scared. They don't know what's happening with their finances or what it's going to look like, or if they can get a job or not. And that just information right there that you shared was gold. It's a nice reminder that, listen, more is coming. Things are happening for you, not to you. And you need to take action in order to have those doors open. Like she's putting applications out there and resumes out there, and now those doors are opening for more money. I love it. I love it. I love
I love it too.
it. So reach out to Annie. Like if you're not watching us, if you're listening to us on one of the podcast, platforms, that thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Please leave a review. And go check out Annie on her YouTube, on our YouTube channel where we're running this, because you just have to see her smile. It lights up a room. She's a gorgeous woman inside and out, and her energy is just really beautiful to be around, and her smile will light up your day at any moment. So thank you again, Annie, for joining me. It's been such a pleasure. I love this conversation, and hopefully we can have you back someday.
Heidi, thanks for having me on the S.H.E podcast.
Thank you for joining us today on the S.H.E podcast. In the meantime, I'll see you on the next episode. In the meantime, go be empowered to be seen and heard.